It's tournament season at First, and the next big one at Santa Anita Gulfstream and Express Bet is the Ultimate Betting Challenge this Saturday, March the 2nd. The Ultimate Betting Challenge features every race at Gulfstream Park on Fountain of Youth Day and Santa Anita Park on Big Cap Day, making it a coast-to-coast betting extravaganza. Buy in for $6,000, $5,000 live bankroll, and compete against players from around the country for massive cash prizes and NHC seats. First, we'll seed 4 NHC seats to the prize pool, and all cash entry fees will be distributed back as prizes. At 150 players, that's $150,000 in cash prizes, plus those 4 NHC seats. Play in the UBC on site at Gulfstream or Santa Anita, or jump in online with ExpressBet. Head over to expressbet.com/tournaments for more information and to register to play. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at race number 10 at Gulfstream on Fountain of Youth Saturday. It's the Grade 3, the Very One Stakes. Fillies and Mares going a 3-turn turf route. We're heading a mile and 3/8. We take a look at this field. It's a pretty wide open race, Mike. 10 horses in here. Some solid runners. The distance is a big question mark for horses like the 5, Sister Luann, who's very, very consistent, doesn't win very often, and is now stretching out for Sappy Joseph and Jose Ortiz.
Distance is a big question for some of the especially for some of the informed horses in this race, Dan. So we'll see how they handle it. It's not a question for the horse on the outside, number 10, Kelly Kim. She got real good last year.
Let's look at the Timeform US pace projector. Sometimes it can get a little bit tricky at a mile and 3/8. Sister Luann does have the speed to make the lead. Actually, she was on the lead going a mile 2 starts back. Angel Nadeshiko loved life on the lead last time out in Southern California, but she walked the dog up front, and I'm not sure that's going to happen with a horse like Sister Luann in here.
Yeah, this pace might not be fast, but it's not going to be that slow. So we'll see how it all works out. I won't argue with the 5 beat on the lead in here, Dan. Either way, this pace might not be fast.
The number 1, Rosario's Prayer, might have a lot to find from a class and distance standpoint, but she ran pretty well in her turf debut last time out at Tampa Bay, going a mile and a 16th. It's a first-level allowance race, and we see her just sort of down and behind horses in the stretch, just looking for somewhere to run, and she's eventually going to get to the outside. It's way too late, you would think, for her to make any kind of an impact, but she does come running to finish second behind a horse that would come back and win with an 85 buyer.
Yeah, 3 in a row now for the winner of this race, Heavenly Appointee. But yeah, that horse had the jump on her. They both closed, though. You saw the Rosario's Prayer get out behind that winner. They both rallied up to complete that exactly. This horse was a huge price in there. Clearly appreciated the surface switch last time. Now has to run a lot better.
I don't want to sleep on the 2, Highland Grace, who goes out for the venerable Barclay tag. They ran her last time out in the Le Prévoyant, and talk about a slow-paced race. She got wired that day in her first start off a little bit of a layoff. I think it was just a good stepping stone to a race like the Very One. I'm expecting her to be much fitter for this one.
Yeah, distance is what she really wants. It's just a question of, whether or not she's going to turn out to be a stakes horse, Dan, because that's the real question in front of her.
Ready Lady is the number 3. She ran on synthetic last time out. I don't think that's her best surface. She kind of mid-moved and faded that day at Woodbine. So she's going to come into this race off a little bit of a layoff. Her prior turf races are fine. She was running against some of the better horses in Canada, horses like Moira and Mr. Karras. Again, a big step up from a distance and a class standpoint.
Yeah, and it's hard to project any more improvement from her too, Dan. She's got to get better, it feels like, to win this race. And I don't see where that improvement's going to come from now as a 5-year-old. She's only 3 for 15. She is grade 2 placed, but she never looked like she was going to win that race. And as of now, she's just not fast enough, I don't think, to beat this field.
Viva Lorette is the number 4, and she seems somewhat adaptable to pace. She was up close 2 starts back in the Via Borghese over a synthetic surface. Last time out in the Le Prévoyant, they took her back. Again, it was a race where she was wired. I still think she has to prove she's a stakes horse, because it wasn't long ago she was running in condition claimers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they did move her up last time off of a decent performance on the all-weather 2 starts back. She was 1,000,000 to 1 in that race, Dan, and she didn't come close.
How far does Sister Luann want to go? That's one of the key questions of this race. Last time out, they ran her in the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf. She was up close to a solid pace that day, and she tired. She was in against Didia, who is one of the better middle-distance Filly and Mares in the entire country. So she's getting a little bit of a class drop. I'm interested in your thoughts on the Swanee River, Mike, because I just didn't see too much of an excuse to back.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't like her Swanee River performance much at all. I didn't see her excuse that day. Yeah, she faced a better field than this in her most recent start, and she ran fine in there, but distance is a big question. So we'll see how she handles that. I won't argue with this spot for her again. I think she fits in here. I'm not sure that she wants to go this far.
Anatolian goes out for Michael Maker, who always seems to have a sixth sense about whether horses want to go long. And if you just break down her form a little bit, at least on the dirt, when this horse is stretched out in distance, she's run well. She was tested on turf in the La Prevoyante last time out, where she ran an okay third. Again, she was wired that day. She worked out an in-out trip. She was running at the end.
Yeah, she was. I mean, I thought overall the trip was fine there, and she did her best with it, and improved to a new buyer top there. There's nothing wrong with that performance, but if she shows up here and runs that same race, I don't think she's winning. Maybe Maker can get her to take one more step forward.
Cairo Consort, the number 7, is a horse that makes up late ground and middle distance races. That doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be more effective at these longer routes. She's also the kind of filly that needs a little bit of pace up front because she's going to be far back. She's fairly competitive, however, in these stakes races at Gulfstream. Last time out, just in too tough.
Yeah, just in too tough. It's also worth pointing out, it feels like Pletcher, he's not Maker, but he has an idea of which horses really want more distance. So maybe just the fact that he's going to stretch Cairo Consort out for this is a good sign for her. She's pretty good, Dan. Trips are really important to her, and I'm not sure she's the best closer in this race.
One of them might be the 8, Miss Yearwood. I think she's a really strong contender in this race. She really closed in the Kirtana 2 starts back. That was at Churchill Downs, and she rallied from way out of it. Looked good in the stretch. They ran her on a synthetic surface last time out in the Via Borghese. And Mike, I just think that that's not probably her game. But again, a means to an end. It probably got her fit enough for this start. The pace should be honest. She's running late.
Yeah, that's a fair way to look at her most recent start. It was off a layoff anyway, and then they switched to the surface with her and just sort of gave her a run there. Maybe as a prep for this, she's got those back-to-back wins at 1.5 miles on turf last year before the layoff. We'll see how far away she gets early, Dan. She has 0 early speed.
Angel Nadeshiko, the number 9, couldn't have picked this victory at a better moment. It was only a few weeks before she went through the auction ring. It's the Robert J. Frankel Stakes. She's a big price. She catches a paceless race. She's allowed to walk 51 and change in 1 mile and an eighth race. She just has enough left in the tank to win and subsequently sold for $230,000. Now with Saffie Joseph.
Oh, yeah, we'll see what Saffie can do with her. She's just hard to like. It's a grade 3 win in Southern California, Dan. She's hard to like off of that performance. She had it all her own way on the lead.
Our Callie Kim, as Mike mentioned, really is strong at this distance, and she's just such a consistent horse. She had a 4-race win streak snapped last time out in the La Prevoyante, but it was another good effort. Again, the horse on the lead was able to get to the front. That's Alpha Bella. Our Callie Kim probably have the second best trip in this race, saving ground in the pocket. She's going to make it close. Ahead of 3 of these, you'll see Anatolian on the outside get up for 3rd.
Yeah, not a real excuse for her here, Dan, but maybe, just closing on the inside isn't exactly what she wants to do here. She just can't quite get the job done, but it's not a poor performance by any means. Going back, though, to the 4 races last year that she ran, I mean, there's a long layoff involved. She obviously wasn't that kind of horse early on, but she figured it out last year. One strong win after another going long on the turf. If she rebounds to that kind of performance in here, I just think she's too good for these horses.
Conditioned by a master horseman in Brendan Walsh. Let's take a look at our top selections for this one. You're going with our Callie Kim, a horse tactical enough to work out her own trip. Doesn't have any worries about class or distance.
Yeah, I just didn't really see the alternatives in this race necessarily, Dan. The distance is a good one for her. Post 10's not ideal, I guess, but if she shows up and runs her race, I think she's going to be tough.
Anatolian at least tried to make up some ground outside in a race where the top 2 finishers saved ground or up close to the pace. Maybe Maker can get her to take that one step forward. I'm curious to see how Sister Luann reacts to stepping up in class, but I do agree with you that our Callie Kim's the horse to beat. 10-2-7-6 for Mike, 6-5-10-7 for me. It's a sensational card at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. Race number 10 is the very one.